See, there's a dilemma. I was raised to tell the truth. The truth shall set you free. If I didn't tell the truth and I did something wrong, I got 2 whoopings for it. And there were times I told the truth and I did something wrong and I got a whooping for that. I deserved a whooping for it. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We base our whole legal system on the truth. What is the truth? This is dialogue time. What is the truth, people? You're going to get called to court. I'm not. I worked in the county jail 4 years in a parole office 1 year. They don't want me there. I just let them know what I did. You don't have to show up. It's okay. What is the truth? In the court. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The truth, I feel, is only important to the eye of the beholder.
What does that mean? I'm not saying no to that.
In the sense that, if somebody wants to hear the truth, then they're willing to accept it. But if they don't want to hear the truth, and they come up with their own theory or their own process, we'll say, they're not going to agree with what may actually be the truth.
The truth is subjective. Truth is justice in the court of law.
Is justice in a court of law. So I have this scenario because I watch people text all the time in front of me. I won't let them text behind me. I'll get out of their way because they're dangerous. So I see someone who, they go across the yellow line, they come back, and 3 or 4, and suddenly they sideswipe someone, and I call and report the accident, and of course they want me to come to court and testify. And so the counselor for the defense, the counselor for the prosecution will say, well, tell me what you saw, and I tell them what I saw. And then the counselor for the defense will say, are you sure that you really saw what you saw? In which time I take out my latest vision exam that says I have 2015 vision. You want proof? You asked me to tell the truth. In fact, you made me swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I told the prosecutor the truth. And now you want to, we call it question my veracity. Veracity is a big word for the truth. I can see 2015. I can see things you don't see at distances. They're always amazed. But does that mean I saw what I saw? The defense wants to question whether I really saw what I saw. That it implies whether I'm telling the truth or not. But I'm telling the truth as I saw it, but did I really see what happened? What is the truth? Subjective? We're looking for justice. Absolutely right. Oh no, that's the Boy Scout symbol. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then you have to swear, so help you. Is the truth important in a rule of law, in a courtroom? It should be important, and yet we find 11% of people guilty of murder who never murdered anybody. There's a gentleman just released, 42 years in prison, did not do the crime. How does that happen? If the whole point of justice is to establish the truth. So the right person is incarcerated. Justice requires you incarcerate people who violate the law. How does it happen? Someone spends 42 years in prison and didn't commit the crime. There was one here recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. A lady was accused of murder, put in prison. Her boyfriend at the time, but just a few years ago, there was another murder, and the police tied it to her boyfriend, her old boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, because of DNA. And some bright light bulb went back and reflected on the DNA to the murder that his girlfriend was accused and convicted of committing, and it turns out she didn't do the murder. He did both of them. And she did all that, I think it was 18 years in prison. Isn't the truth important enough to make sure we have it right? It's an important question, people. How about revisionist history? There are people who believe there was never a Holocaust. Not only 6 million Jews, 7 million non-Jewish people were killed by Hitler. 13 million people. If you got in his way, he axed you without a thought. And yet people say it never happened. We have pictures and photographs. It never happened. Were Jesus, Mohammed, the Buddha, and Lao Tzu real historical figures? We have over 1 billion people believe yes. Follow their teachings. Adopt their faith. Were they real? Because the reality of their realness is what motivates people to follow them, to adhere to their teachings. And yet people say, well, you know, that's just fiction. Did we really go to the moon? I shared with you on Tuesday, I was listening to a meteorologist. They predict weather, and this guy's really, really good. I've never heard him be wrong until 2 nights ago. He said if it wasn't for the Earth's atmosphere, we couldn't see the moon. And I immediately thought, well, wait a minute. On the moon, we took pictures of the Earth. How could we see the Earth if you need atmosphere? There's no atmosphere on the moon. So I brought up these pictures of the Earth from the moon. Anybody see any stars? Because when I look out, even with atmosphere, I see stars. And when I'm up in an airplane and you get above the clouds, I've been 37, 40,000 feet up. I was flying into Santiago, Chile at about 5 in the morning. You wake up and I'm on the right side of the plane and I look out. There's no atmosphere. Well, it's so thin it doesn't matter. It doesn't magnify anything. And there's something there called the Southern Cross. It's in the Southern Hemisphere. It's just stars that are lined up. It's upside down, and then the crossbeam is here. And I remember looking at it, and as soon as I saw it, Crosby, Stills, and Nash sang a song about the Southern Cross. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, wow, that's amazing. I'm so far above the atmosphere, there's very little to interfere with my sight. I can see the stars without atmosphere. Why don't we see the stars from the pictures from the moon? Now, some of these we do, but these are our pictures. Now, this one, some stars, this one, some stars. Why are there no stars in most of these? Which raises the question, did we really go to the moon? We're very good at graphics and graphic design. I'm not saying we didn't go, but there are people who say it's a fabrication. Was Oswald really the lone shooter who killed President Kennedy? 57 people said no. They were witnesses. They were on the knoll that day. If the reports are true that I read, within years they all passed away from heart attacks, fires, car accidents. All the other witnesses just disappeared. How important is the truth? Does it matter if we know who really killed President Kennedy? They're even questioning whether Sirhan acted alone when he killed Bobby Kennedy, his brother. James Earl Jones, was it, or James Earl Ray, who killed Dr. Martin Luther King? People wondered, was he acting alone as well? Was he a lone gunman? Well, it only took one bullet. Was there a conspiracy? He died of cancer. He was an easy puppet. How about alien abductions? I always laugh at that. You know, we have Area 51 out there for a reason. And we've been using it lately for high-tech military experiments, but it's been out there for a long time. And the Army even has a Blue Book project, trying to figure out if anyone's telling the truth, or at least trying to make sure that we don't tell anybody whether they're telling the truth, because we don't want people to know. How important is the truth? The Matrix. The Truman Show. Bank of America believes 20 to 50% we're in a matrix right now. There are two very high, wealthy tech engineers who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to prove that we are in a matrix and how to get out of it. Does it matter if it's true? And how do we verify the truth? What's the difference between knowledge versus opinion? There are people who still believe the earth is flat. Of course, the pictures from the moon make me wonder if maybe there's something to it. Maybe we've been fabricating this. I honestly don't know. Truman thought he lived in the real world till he bumped into the outer wall of the stage set he was in. He really believed it was real rain that tried to drown him. Climate change deniers. Truth versus error. David Bryan is the gentleman who was just released after 42 years in prison. How about the death of Kaylee Anthony? Is someone walking free who's committed murder, and we were pretty sure she did, but we couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? And so a murderer walks free, and David Bryan spends 42 years of his life in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Whatever happened to Jean Benet Ramsey anyway? A little girl who couldn't defend herself. Doesn't that matter? Doesn't the truth about that matter? See, we live in a world that requires that the truth be real. And yet I've listed, and this is just a very partial, I just made this up at 3 o'clock in the morning while I just woke up. How important is the truth, people? How important is the truth to you? Very important. Okay, that's cool. Truth important? Truth important? Can't hide, I got the finger. Truth important? Truth important? How do we prove the truth, people? How do we go about proving the truth? How many of you are people of faith, regardless of your religion? How do you prove that? My dad, when he was dying, he said, "You think anything comes after this?" How would I know? I don't know. I said, "I can't prove it to you." I said, "Let's put it this way. If there isn't, why don't you have a good time while you're here? Do the best you can. And if there is, I suggest you do the best you can. Because this is where you are. This is where you make your stand. This is where you make your impression in life." He wanted to know the truth. When you get to the end of your life, you have certain questions you don't have in the middle of your life. You might think about it, but they're not real questions. I have someone close to death right now in my life, trying to figure it out. Knows it's coming. Said to me one night, she said, if this is coming back, I don't have long to live. Yes, that's right. She's got questions. She wants to know things. And when you get close to that reality, you want to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We all say the truth is important, but what is the truth, people? You see why this is important now? What is the truth? How do we know what we know, what we know, what we know? Because we make decisions based on what we know, or what we believe we know, or what we believe other people telling us is the truth. And when lives are at stake, it matters. I love you with all my heart. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. There's nothing that could deter me from my love for you. And then half our marriages end in divorce. Were we lying? Were we ignorant? Were we under a false opinion? Or maybe it's more fundamental than that. You ever drive with a little crack in your windshield? You ever have a stone come up, crack your windshield? If you're driving it long enough and bounce enough roads, it'll spread out in spider feet. And I've even been in cars that goes right across the windshield till the windshield pops. I